Don't forget.
I actually want to tell you something, Julia, before we start whatever else we're gonna do. So funny thing, on February 11th, your birthday, both I woke in the morning and I had a hike planned to um, Ghost Ranch, but I woke really
What
early.
is Ghost Ranch?
That is Georgia O'Keeffe's
Oh,
Oh,
ranch.
yes. Yes,
And
yes.
it is 45 minutes for me. And now, so it has 5 hiking trails that extend from, there's two museums. There's still active archaeological digs. There's an art center, school. It's magnificent. It's just wonderful. So, and you can go there. I live in the county, so I can go anytime I want and hang out.
And is this, am I right? Is this somewhere between like Santa Fe and Los Alamos?
Um, ish, near both,
Ish.
but not in
Yeah.
between. It's actually, those are kind of probably equidistance from it.
From, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's north of Santa Fe up through Abiquiu,
Okay.
which Abiquiu, I mean, you could get to Los
Los
Alamos
wait,
without
Alamos.
the
Abiquiu
driveway.
is not Albuquerque. That's a different place.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, no.
Okay.
Very different. I mean, really different. So Abiquiu is where there's a lake, but the area is where it's filled with really wealthy homes, but you
Oh.
can't see them.
Oh, they're hidden.
Yeah, so it's not like they're around the lake or anything because the lake is a reservoir. So
Oh, that's not fancy.
that's not fancy. But the homes are ducked everywhere. So I laughed because the Abiquiu people are like retired filmmakers and
Huh.
actors, and it's people like that who hide away in the mountains. Anyway, what I want to tell you is I woke early that morning, too early for me to be up. So I said, I'm going to put on a meditation, which is, something I do frequently. So I picked one, that morning from YouTube, and it was the guy Brian Scott, and it was some download from your future self. It was really wonderful. I like his cadence, so his vibe, I listen to him frequently. Anyway, right in the middle of it, I think it was 38 minutes, and like right in the middle of it, we're cooking along, and he brings up you. And
Oh, wow.
I was so delighted because I was like, "Oh my God, it's her birthday!" And he doesn't even know it, because this was a recording, of course. But I was so delighted because I told you I would also carry you with me up the hill that day,
Well,
and it
that's true. That's true. Wow, you
so
did.
you were determined. So you came in and you were like, "It is my day. I'm right in the middle of this meditation." It was a delight. So I wanted to make sure to tell you that first because it was such a treat for me. And then I went off, and there's several different hikes, but this particular one I did is called Chimney Rock because when you look at it from a distance, it looks like a chimney, but natural formation.
Well, I'm going to take all responsibility for that, even though it's irrational. And thank
Thank you.
you.
Yes.
And why should we not include all that in the episode? I thought,
It seems like a great place to start or end.
I think it's great if you're okay with
Yeah, it was such a delight. I wanted to
We
make sure
like
you know.
tangents.
it. We're all about tangents. Carmen, are you using the open audio on your computer?
No, I've got my normal audio. Do I not sound good?
It sounds like it's not really using that audio to me.
Oh, let me just make sure because sometimes
And I don't know
um
if that's correct or if I got new headphones and maybe my headphones are making it sound different.
No, you
So
sound like you're sort of in the middle of the room.
yeah, that's true.
Okay,
She
I bet
doesn't
it
sound.
sounds better now.
Oh,
Oh, there it is.
hello.
Whatever that
Uh,
was.
I don't know why it did that.
Oh, there you are.
It switched
Hello.
itself to an
Oh,
inferior audio. I don't know.
yeah. You sound amazing and intimate right now.
Yeah, well, good. It's my little guy. He's very small, but
There we go.
All right. Well, Cyndi, this is our second time recording with you.
Mm.
Oh, you're getting smaller.
No, I had to move that to hit the OK button that keeps flashing for your recording.
But it's the first time we're actually recording it. So,
Right.
so
So,
this is
hey, I wanted to add something. When Cyndi talked about Aku Ab Abaku
Abacu.
Abaque.
Abaku,
Hmm.
and you said there are all these really homes of the rich that are hidden. And that reminded me of a book I read decades ago by an American historian, Paul Fussell, Fussel. He's no longer with us. And he wrote a book called Class, How
Mm.
Class Works in America,
Mm.
which I devoured. He wrote it in the 80s, early 90s, so it's a bit dated, but I think the principles are true. And so, for example,
Mm.
he made the point that one of the things that the very poor, like beyond poor, like convicts, like prisoners, and the very rich have in common is that their homes are hidden. So,
Ooh.
the prisoners, it's not obvious unless you like drive by and go, oh, look, there's a prison. And the rich people, their homes are hidden. And he made lots of, I thought, really clever and I thought, for the most part, accurate, ironic observations about uh, class in America.
You know what's interesting about that as well is the lake, which is I mean, there's lots of hiking and things in this area as well, but the lake is public lands because it's a reservoir. And the active users of the lake, I would dare say, um, is a spread of democracy of all of humanity because it's surrounded by campgrounds. There's actually a kind of beach area that's beautiful. So it's interesting you say that because then you have this other sort of class stew that you get to also witness actively, and there's one gas station sort of store in this community. That's it. Otherwise, you have to go to Santa Fe. And it's interesting that intermix that you,
Mm.
you see also on display.
Oh, I'd want to hang out at that gas station all the time
Oh,
just
it's
to.
fabulous. It's called Bodie's. We love it. We love the owners, everybody who works there. It's absolutely the community hub.
Well, now you make me think of um, perhaps the greatest movie ever made about New Mexico,
Mm.
Tremors.
Oh,
Have you seen Tremors?
I have not.
Oh, never even
I
heard
was
of it.
way
Oh,
younger.
it's a great movie from maybe the early 90s,
Yeah, I was gonna say late 80s,
late
maybe.
80s, or it's with Kevin Bacon,
Mhm.
and it takes place at a local community gas station hub where because of, the plot is thin, but apparently because of all the nuclear tests, atomic tests that occurred in New Mexico, this breed of gigantic sandworms is burrowing under the ground and like creating sinkholes and swallowing people.
Wow, is it like an offshoot of Doom or did it come before Doom?
No,
I mean, Doom.
it's a very, I recommend it. I mean,
Huh.
there was so good that many bad sequels were made.
Yeah.
But the first one, Tremors, is how this gang of plucky people uh, outwit the sandworms or whatever they call them, and not all of them survive, but the ones that you're rooting most for do survive. And
And I will
I
also say this, if you watch that,
yeah.
that is quintessential Southern New Mexico.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, so that's why if once you're in New Mexico, there's a very specific conversation between northern New Mexico and southern New Mexico. And that, because that, as well as like Breaking Bad, Albuquerque
Mhm.
stuff, everyone imagines that's what New Mexico looks like. That's because everything north of Santa Fe is hardly ever featured in anything that
Mm.
you would see, because quite honestly, it looks too much like Colorado.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
there's nobody up here, and there's nothing you can really access because it is so privately owned.
Well,
Ranches.
perhaps the second best movie ever made in New Mexico, which I think is more of a northern New Mexico movie, is the Milagro Beanfield
oh
So
War.
that
God,
was
that
in
was amazing.
Truchess, New Mexico.
And where is
And
that?
that is north. That's
Yeah,
on your way from Santa Fe to Taos.
yeah,
That
yeah,
movie is amazing.
I think
yeah,
Truchess, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, Tremors, I think you and Brooks would enjoy Tremors. And by
Oh,
the
okay.
way, I went to high school in El Paso, Texas,
Oh
so I
yeah.
am which might as well, in fact, off and on, there have been movements by El
Mhm.
Paso politicians to secede from
Yes.
Texas and join New Mexico.
It's
You're
still a
right up there,
conversation.
right?
Oh yeah, it's the border right
Yeah.
It's the border, and we're in the mountain time zone, and the rest of Texas doesn't care about us. And frankly, El Pasoans don't care about the rest of Texas when you get right down to it. It's a borderland.
Yeah. Is it
there.
mountainous?
Well, yes, because there are a range of mountains that, kind of offshoots of the Rocky Mountains of that spine that surround El Paso, go all the way into Mexico, go all the way up into New Mexico, and then continue on and on and on. So while El Paso itself, the pass, is flat, it's like a bowl. It's surrounded by mountains.
See, I have a theory that mountainous regions, including valleys that have mountains around them, they give people a different feeling that like literally shapes the culture. Like the nature really shapes what people feel and how people are and what their expectations are of others and the environment. And um I think you can tell a mountain person from a non-mountain. Like Cindy's clearly a mountain person.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up my first quarter of my life in Western Michigan,
Mm.
surrounded by the Great Lakes. And then my second quarter was in the Sonoran Desert in the bowl of the Phoenix Valley, surrounded 360 by mountains. And that made me want to shift my third quarter all the way up into the mountains because I used to escape that bowl as frequently as I could to hit the mountains. And so I finally, pandemic said, okay, let's just do mountains permanent.
There's some very quirky Arizona mountain communities.
Oh yeah. Bisbee,
And
Arizona
oh,
is
I've been to Bisbee. I have good friends who live in Jerome.
oh yeah.
So
Jerome's a really good time.
yeah,
So is Bisbee, but
exactly.
Jerome is more
Jerome is,
drinking
everyone
and
knows.
haunting.
Sorry?
Drinking and haunted places.
Yes, everyone
Haunted
knows about,
places?
Oh yeah.
yes, everyone knows about Sedona.
Hmm.
And so Jerome is basically at the other end of, I don't know what you would call that. It's more than a valley, but it's an expanse of
Yeah.
land. And Jerome, Sedona is very high end,
Yeah.
and Jerome is totally funky, get down, artist commune,
Hmm.
lots of alternative lifestyles, whatever that means,
Hmm.
and famous haunted places. And
Yeah.
I gotta say, I first went to Jerome probably 20 plus years ago. And the most recent time I was there, I was kind of disappointed because it was getting kind of gentrified.
It's the wineries.
It's what I was going to say. It's the wineries. There's like a dozen tasting rooms there,
Yep.
and the kind of biker, a kind of mixture of biker lesbian art colony vibe
Exactly right.
had just dissipated.
Hmm.
Very sad.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute. What? I'm sorry. I'm catching up on my New Mexico geography. Jerome.
Is in
No, she's in
Arizona.
Arizona.
We're
Yeah,
now
okay.
we're in Arizona.
Yeah.
But of Jerome and Sedona,
Yes.
Sedona is in New Mexico.
No, they're
No, it's
both in
also in Arizona.
Arizona.
Okay,
So
okay.
there's like,
But
you
that's
know,
very close. But which one is closest to Area 51 is what I'm getting at.
Oh, neither of those two.
I
Those are
would
Okay.
both in
I would say
Arizona.
they're kind of equidistant. One
Yeah, I mean,
southwest and one southeast, kind of.
Okay. Because I'm wondering what the relationship is between the like places that have a lot of haunted buildings but aren't like Civil War graveyards and such, or Native American disturbed burial
oh,
mounds. I always wonder what the relationship is between that
here's
and
what
Area
I really
51.
think about those two places is Sedona, it sees it as vibrational vortexes, and
Yes.
Jerome sees it as ghosts. But
Oh, same
let's be
thing.
real, they're the same thing.
Got it.
Just the word haunted hotel is synonymous with Jerome, whereas
Yes.
vortex is synonymous with
Got
Sedona.
it.
Yes.
Yes.
And both places are no longer for, or I shouldn't say no longer, are currently not environments really for folks like us. And that is because Phoenix and then wide reaching all the way right now is all mini Vegas influencer, same people who take up camping spots at all the national parks but show up just to film and then leave but don't camp there. That's those places. And that's what you were experiencing, Carmen, when you said the comparison between 20 years ago and
Yeah.
today. It's an influencer, like I want to be seen, I want to dress up, I want to cosplay. I think it'll all die away, but it is prevalent right now.
I hope so.
Let's get back to the lesbian biker co-ops.
Yeah.
Lesbian biker art colony vibe. It was just fantastic.
Michigan has a lot of those, by the way.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up in Michigan?
I grew up in Western Michigan.
What was the town?
Tiny town, Holton, Michigan.
I know
Not,
where that is because I grew up in, a tiny town in Illinois right across the way.
yeah,
Alton.
Holton Twin Lake.
Yeah.
Graduated from Holton High School. And I spent, so that's about a 30-minute drive to Lake Michigan. I grew up, I was born on a creek, and then the 80s hit and there was no work. So my parents moved us to Texas, around Dallas for about 3 years in the 80s. And then we moved back to Michigan, and my parents bought a summer cottage on a lake, but we lived there year round. So
Yeah, they're less
lots,
expensive.
lots of hauling wood because we had no heat or anything. So we
And
just
probably no insulation in those houses.
no.
Yeah.
So I actually had the attic became my room. My sister's for a minute, but she's much older, so she was out of there really by then. But all day long there was a thick velvet yellow, very 70s, 80s curtain that hung over the stairs to was my room, the attic. So the main house stayed warm all day, and then at night they would open it.
Yeah.
So you get some warmth.
Yeah, and just, don't go up there in the winter.
Did you have bricks in your bed in the winter to keep it warm?
No.
That was something.
No, but we did. I mean, we definitely, had electric blankets, I remember for sure. And then we left that house. My dad was first a social worker and then became a minister. And by the time I was 15, he got a position in the town right next door, Twin Lake, Michigan, which came with a parsonage.
Ooh.
So my siblings were gone. I'm the baby, and so then we had, I mean, just kind of a whole different life because
Yeah.
it was like a big house, and we had cable, which was cuckoo for me.
I'm sorry, what was your faith or his faith tradition?
Yeah, Methodist.
Methodist,
Yeah,
okay.
I was raised Methodist.
I don't know why I asked, because all of those Protestant things mean like Lutheran, Presbyterian, Methodist, those three mean nothing to me.
Yeah,
I'm like,
we know the difference.
do ya?
As soon as you say that, I say,
Oh yeah, and I gotta throw in Episcopalian. Although I
yeah,
think that's the most high church of those four.
Most
I know.
similar to Catholic.
it is.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it is.
Yeah. Methodist is just like, certainly there are things that are frowned upon, which, and some of them had to do with my dad. When he retired and left, he was not super happy with the Methodist Church, just from some of their higher top-down choices. But, I mean, the Methodists are like country folk having potlucks, and because my dad was my parents also, I should say, when I was much younger, when in the late 70s, early 80s, before everything fell apart and we had to move to Texas for a minute, my parents owned roller skating rinks, co-owned with an aunt and uncle, but that meant I had this really early childhood of being an amateur speed skater. And I come from a really big family. We have like 29 cousins and all these other. So we were all on the speed skating teams and ran around and did all of these things. And the reason I brought that up is because there was this parallel, though, between the roller skating rinks and the church. And I think it's indicative of that kind of religion too, is when my parents owned the roller skating rinks above the DJ booth, my dad on Friday night with all the cool teenagers and everything, I was a tiny little girl, and I would do puppet shows at the roller skating rink, and all the teens would just like sit down, and the DJ would give me the mic, and I would run these whole puppet shows. I did the same thing in the church. So on Sunday morning, my dad would do a children's time. My dad always, all the kids come up, and he would do a thing just for the kids. And he had these puppets, and he would also let me do the same thing there. So I think that's sort of the religion I grew up in. It wasn't, me and my brother and sister were not naughty. Like, we didn't rebel. We were all pretty generally easy. So
And you lived rent free after this part, right? Like he didn't have to pay anything for rent.
Right. That's why it was a real game changer. I mean, because my mom was a mail carrier, which she retired from. And my dad was a minister and a social worker. And so, financially, we were not top of the line. And so then when we got that parsonage, or my dad got that position and we moved in, and my siblings were gone, it was like, for a kid like me at like 15 when we moved in there, it felt very lottery like,
Yeah.
because it was like a 2-story. I mean, our other house was 2-story, but it was actually, the second story was the attic. This house was a full 2-story, 5-bedroom, full kitchen with island. And like I said, it came with cable, which, we didn't have things like that. So it was very exciting. It also, I mean, it had all the appliances, that was like amazing to walk into a place and you're like, oh my God, there's like a functioning blender. I mean, all of that happened because, of course, my mother, who worked a full-time job, was still expected to host gatherings.
Of course, she's the
minister's
preacher's,
wife.
the minister's wife, yeah.
Which I do believe actually my mother loved. I think she really enjoyed the community, and I mean, I'm sure it was so exhausting, but the weekend activities, I mean, everyone understood she worked too, so she wasn't doing like a bunch of Tuesday night things. There was other people, but a lot of weekend stuff, a lot of parties, a lot of events at that parsonage. And the other thing that was amazing was my dad's office, because as a minister, he did a lot of counseling, was attached to the parsonage. And that was also very cool because we had spent all these years where my dad was driving hours to, preach on a Sunday at another church, but also several days a week because you counsel. So to have him right there was also a new treat, I mean, so
Wow, I'm developing an interpretation of your backdrop. It looks like it combines the wheels from your speed skating,
mhm.
right? The roller skater wheels with the minister thing with the light coming, right? There's like a
Oh,
whole, right?
I love that.
And so it seems very fitting from what we know about your earlier days. But it's about this time that we sort of say, "Hey, Cyndi, how would you like to be introduced?"
Yes, I was just going to say.
Mhm.
We're glad to have you here. How are you thinking of yourself right
Well, it
now
says
in the
there,
world?
Cyndi Coon, futurist.
Yeah, I mean, definitely am a futurist, but I would add more than that right now. Um, that's like a work title. But I really feel like my futurist lens, how I want to be thought of more, I think, is no matter what I'm doing, it's human centric,
Right.
but in a way also that now I'm bringing back another important element that has been long buried that I will be carrying, which is my artist self. I'm a trained artist. I have a master's of fine art. But I walked a long journey in the government, military, academia world that did strong encouraging not to merge those things.
Mm,
And I'm disengaging from that truth. And so I would say now, I really want to start with, the artist, move into the futurist, but it's got a wrapper of the only reason I care is because of the humans.
mm.
Right. Yeah.
How do you think you were what did you say?
Discouraged?
Discouraged or not encouraged? How did you put it? Not encouraged.
Yeah, I mean, directly.
Okay.
So,
So actively discouraged, it sounds like, not just not encouraged.
both, I would say both. I mean, not encouraged because, oh, that could make you look unprofessional.
Oh, yes.
Uh-huh.
Um, that could make people see you as less
Serious.
serious, intellectual, more artsy fartsy. That and plus my visual style is very specific to me, and to the untrained eye, it can look very childish or juvenile, which I like to tell people, well, after you spend 4 years having to draw and paint the human skeleton and the human form, and you prove yourself and you can do all of that, then your biggest, you know, mission should be how far away can you get from that to yourself, because that's not actually you.
Yes.
And I would say there were a number of times that I had very clear visions about how to bring in my hand on even things like very important white papers, that to this day, I know that if I would have had more confidence or whatever we want to call it, um, they would have been even better white papers. But I stepped back because that's growth, and we don't know when we're in our younger years. And so now I am waking up, and I'll tell you how, just one thing that's important to me right now is I have been deeply steeped in generative AI for 3 years. But I want to say where you find me right now at this moment is the AI, unlike anything else I have experienced probably since graduate school, has pushed me all the way back into my studio. And not
Uh-huh.
from running, from a very cool collaboration that I feel like I have a buddy and I'm all of these things. And I'm drawing like 10 drawings a day right now. I'm doing
Wow.
collages, I'm watercoloring. And it hasn't been this alive in a long time. And I think part of it is also the political, spectrum. Artists go back to making art because we know that's what to do in these times. But
Right. Right.
But do you think you're so productive because AI is saying, "Hey, you should paint this"? Or I don't think that's what you mean.
no,
I think
that's
what you mean is you have these conversations that bring out something that you want to express. Is that right?
well, part of what has really launched this is I am in AI communities, and the AI communities are that I'm a part of, I would say, to a community have moved from, oh, we're all learning AI together, oh, we're all figuring out like how does this play a role in what we do, to, oh my God, this is the great repurpose. And now all of the people who were active in those places that I was connected to have two determinations right now that are very clear, which is one, I better figure out my purpose and what I want more of, because white collar life is ending as we know it. So, what does that mean for you specifically?
I just want to be clear. I heard what you said. White collar life is ending
Yeah,
as we know it. I agree, but
period. Yeah.
yeah.
So, we can't rely on when someone says, "What do you do?" and we say, "Well, I'm the CEO of," it's gone. So, what is real? And so, I'm so grateful that I have a community of practice that I meet with regular, several of them, that we are able to move now into a more spiritual, philosophical. Our work sessions turn into discussions where we're talking about what do we want more of, what is meaningful to us personally. And that drove me back to the studio more than anything, because when I did that real work, I said, what I want more of is my hands moving in that way.
Mm.
Because right now, my head and my heart also don't know what to do with everything going on. There's very little I can directly do, but if I can go and make art about this stuff, that that is what I want more of. And then the second thing that I see that I am also is a lot of people who are recognizing this white collar shift, who are engaged in these communities, realize the giganticness of how much we all need to be helpers right now. I mean, all the conversations I'm in are, what's our game plan? How are we going to help? I've been talking for 3 years about how in the AI space, I have been intentionally building a raft that is getting bigger and bigger. And I got couches and bookshelves, and it's very comfortable because the tsunami's coming, and I'm going to be grabbing you and pulling you onto the raft and telling you to just rest and hang out, and we'll get there. And it's likely also that my own raft could turn over. But if I'm loading it with people, and it does, we're in it together, and we'll flip it
Right.
back over and we'll keep going together. And that's what I think it's all about right now, is just like finding the you that is not attached to your profession, to your career, because it's just not going to be there like that for you. And if you are
Right.
so attached, the ache and the grieving that we're going to see, because,
Mm.
it's hard, especially if you've worked for other people. I've been a entrepreneur pretty much my whole career, so I feel different about the whole landscape of it. But there's going to be a lot of aching souls that,
Yes.
and it's not actually just about AI. AI is just the forcing function.
Yeah.
So
You called it the Great Repurposing, but it
mhm.
sounds like it's also the great identity jigsaw puzzle toss into the air or something. I
Yeah,
mean,
and the great repurposing isn't mine. I should say that belongs to a pal of mine, Kyle Shannon. I just repeated his kind of thing he's exploring.
It's like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, did you want to continue that, Julia?
Oh, I was just thinking, you know, we're at the end of the age when people actually cite their sources. I think you can just say anything.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, about cow. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
you can or you can't.
when you made the comment that AI isn't actually the cause, it just is the forcing function, it reminded me of the Great Depression in the United States in the world in 1929 marked the end, the final blow to the horse economy.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
obviously the internal combustion engine had, the writing was already on the wall, but a lot of people refused to see it, didn't believe it was true. And when the Great Depression came along, and people had to cut costs and cut jobs. Well, anything associated with a horse economy, which was humongous at the turn of the century, had to go. And in a way, I'm trying to extend the metaphor, but it's not coming to me. But in a way, ever since the digital revolution, I would say, ever since the 1990s,
Right.
there's been something going on that's sort of like the horse economy, but I can't quite figure out what to call it.
Mhm.
And AI is now the forcing function.
Well,
but
what's interesting about that is that thread that you just put out there is it's it also that engine pushed even more of the sort of we need to be workers. We
Mm,
are workers and we work. And that has been that industrial revolution. And I think we've also,
yes.
the fourth industrial revolution was digital, but we only thought about it in the digital space. And a lot of people forgot to consider what's going to happen to the humans because we just thought, oh, they'll all work digital too. No,
Yeah.
they won't.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the other piece of it is it's forcing us to ask what is work. I mean, so it's, I guess one of the two of the biggest things that Freud ever did for human culture was one, to point out that there's these unconscious things going on that we don't control and that end up controlling us. And two, that love and work are key
Mhm.
to life satisfaction. And he didn't mean like, what are you getting paid to do or what is your title? He meant like doing good work, like your art is your work. And so I think we're reframing. So when you talk about the great repurposing, that just really makes me think of it's a great reframing of the reality. We all need work to feel like we life has meaning. We do need work. But before work was always conflated with how you got paid.
Mhm.
And now we're starting to see maybe that's not going to be the situation. So people still need work. So how are we going to take care of that need? Just like people need food.
Right.
And so I think what it means is that we're going to start to value, this is my rose-colored glasses version.
What
What
a
if
surprise.
I know, I just thought I'd rip a rabbit out of a hat. But what if we start to realize that human work like art or human work like care of another person is incredibly meaningful work or science that is, someone thinking in a chair or something. You know what I mean? Like just that is actual work that it has high meaning and everything else.
Well,
Um,
we have examples of that. I mean, Ireland just changed their law because they did a multi-year study around when there is art, let's dive surgically into every economic aspect around art, any type of art. And when they did that, they discovered, which, people in the arts know this, the economic raise of every single thing, from a cup of coffee to the gas station to the hotel to the restaurants to the blooms. And so after this multi-year study, the most previous president, and I know they just elected new, but he enacted that artists will now receive universal basic income, because without that early immediate development, we can't continue this journey, because the struggle really is going to be even greater going forward. So now, if you are an artist, and whatever steps they have you do to be, on your government taxes or whatever as an artist, you now get a universal basic income, because they recognized what that actually does for their economy. So, that's just one example. Like, they exist. Are we going to do stuff like that here? I mean, good Lord, I don't know what's going to happen here, but in some ways, you burn it all down and then you get to rebuild. And those of us with vision and ideas get to step in. And I think there are a lot of things going on around the planet that can show us the way. We don't have to invent everything.
True.
Amen. Also, we should all go to Ireland.
Yeah.
That sounds, just to check it out. I don't mean live there forever, but just, that there's some interesting models of all of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's very cool. Thank you.
Mhm.
So
Wow.
I'm reminded Nicholas Taleb a few years ago did a tweet or
Wait, isn't he?
somewhat.
I'm trying to place him. Isn't
He's the
he?
Black Swan guy,
Okay, yeah.
Nicholas Nassim Taleb. I think is it Nassim Nicholas Taleb or Nicholas? I don't know. I don't remember. But he's basically a all-purpose contrarian, cranky contrarian.
Mhm.
And he, but a few years ago, he said something so optimistic and so encouraging. He said that in the future, we are all going to be artisans.
Mm.
That the way he saw the world going is that it will be an artisanal economy. And I was like, wow, if only, what a thing to hope for, to dream about. I'm not exactly sure how he means it, but
Does he mean going
I
back to like feudalism, or
no,
does he
no,
mean, yeah.
no, I don't think he's a feudalism guy. I think he means that in terms of entrepreneurial work, uh, not having to work for huge, big corporations. I think that's how he means it.
I mean, what I noticed is two things. As a person like you, Cyndi, who has really never done the big corporation thing, although I was in academia for a while, which is kind of like a big corporation. But once I got out, I've been entrepreneurial since. Two things I noticed that kind of mitigate against people doing that. And one is the self-employment tax, where you have to pay an extra 15% on top of your income tax if you're not employed by a big company. And
It's your Social Security.
yeah, no, it's on top of that.
Not, it's not
It's
Social
it's
Security.
extra. It's just
It's
just
above Social
it's a
Security.
punishment for not working for a big corporation. And then it's really irritating. And then the other thing is health insurance, which has always been hooked up to, organizations larger than 15 people, which is or recently anyways, hooked up to organizations larger than 15 people, and in the past was even larger organizations. And which is another way, it seems to me, to try to get you to work for a large organization. And I wonder what it is in our culture that wanted to push people in that direction, because boy, are those two things sort of looming.
So I think those are there, but the other outside tax benefits, once you're so when you just enter, it looks like a really big wall, including, I would say, when you step into entrepreneurship. um, Taxes and bookkeeping are probably your biggest barriers, because if you're an entrepreneur, you probably don't think like that unless you're setting up your own CPA office. So one thing I always say is the first thing I did, the reason I am now at what almost this fall, I think is my 25 years of my company.
Wow.
Because the first thing I did is I set up the CPA and bookkeeper. And I said, this is not my skill set. I can't even pretend to play in here. So I need to make enough money that I can cover you guys, because otherwise I'll never make any money. Because what I knew, and I knew a little bit because I understood things a little bit, but now I can tell you definitively for the last, my company was incorporated as an S corp in 2006.
That makes a difference.
And so prior to that, I missed out on so much financially. And then working with my CPA to help me really understand, this is what I could do for you if you will incorporate as an S corp, and S corp, C corp, whatever you want. I did S corp for Arizona reasons. And what I will say now, these many years doing my taxes every year, the way to make money as a small business owner, as an entrepreneur, first, you have to incorporate. There's no choice. Second, you actually make money the same way corporations do, by keeping money. So the tax game for if you are running a small business, even if it's an S corp and you're trying to do the tax stuff yourself, you are losing so much money. So when you have a professional, they tell you constantly. I get messages from my guy Chris, and he says, hey Cyndi, this is going on for the next 2 years, so if you need this, you should do it now. Because
Right.
like, as an example, the 6,000 pound vehicle, right, you can write that off 100%. If you need one, get it now, and it's immediate off your taxes. Like, it's immediate. And things like that, that's just an example, but there's so many things in the tax system that once you're riding inside of it, you don't even notice those kind of smaller penalties, because the advantages are actually so great. But who the hell would know that?
That's the
As
thing.
you
So
would
like when
you
I
would
first got an LLC, like I was paying that extra 15% and it took me forever to figure out that I should be an S corp. But like in the meantime, those are the people you want to encourage, but apparently we don't want to encourage them. And I'm trying to figure out, why don't we want to encourage people? I mean, we say we
So,
want to encourage entrepreneurs.
so just for the record, because where people will hear us, that 15% tax is actually Social Security plus Medicare. I looked it up, the self-employment tax,
Is it?
because yes, when you're self-employed, you have to contribute both what the individual pays to Social Security plus what the company that you would have been employed with matches. So it's like
I
13%
had
of it
no
is,
idea.
yeah,
Well, I'm glad
13%
you
of it
looked
is
that up,
Social
because
Security, and 2 to 3% of it is your Medicare.
yeah.
And so, and the reason why you have to pay 15.2% is that you're paying both your employer and employee at the same
Carmen,
time.
thank you so much. I always got so discouraged by that, and I thought, what is
Yeah,
the
and
deal?
that's,
I mean,
you're
as a
paying into your, because I know, because
but
I
as an
do,
S corp, I don't have to
I don't
do
have no
that.
idea how that affects
Right. I
as
don't have
cornus.
to pay that. However, I run payroll.
Right.
So I'm right back in it anyway.
Yeah.
Or if I'm not running payroll for whatever reason, because I do turn it on and off when the projects aren't always running. But then even if I'm like 1099ing myself, I still, it's still in there. It's just a totally different, you end up doing things totally different. And I have to say, Julia, as a small business owner, I don't feel discouraged.
Oh, me neither. Not since I became an S corp, and now that I understand that I was paying into Social Security and Medicare, I feel much better. I
Yeah,
s-
I mean, unless there's some other tax, but I did look it up.
but I
Yeah.
still feel like I don't understand why healthcare is linked with employment at all.
No,
And I feel like that
Well,
can
because
be
that's
very
the American way.
yeah. Well, and I have to
right,
say
but
back
where does it come from?
Well,
Where?
yeah.
I mean, it comes from large groups. Health
Yeah.
insurance companies feel better uh, insuring larger groups. So if you work with a corporation that has 1,000 people, then you spread out the healthcare risk among those 1,000 people.
But if you insure a bunch of individual people, you would also be spreading out the risk of,
Well, that was what affordable health care, that was the whole logic behind the Affordable Health Care Act, is to create large pools of people that were the equivalent of the large pools of people in companies.
right. But that
Uh,
seems so obvious to me. Why, I
but
mean,
but once they got rid of you had the mandatory part of the Affordable Health Care Act, they began to dilute the power. It only works if everyone has to have health insurance. If you let people opt out, which they will do,
then their risk
because
goes up and their cost
then the
goes
risk
up and
goes
then
up and the
everything goes
cost
up.
goes up and yada yada.
It's all this
So
basic economic stuff that
so
pisses me off, but it
it's the
makes sense.
network it's the network effect
Yeah.
basically is what's going on with
Thank
health
you.
Well,
insurance.
in the when I first started my company, the state of Arizona had an excellent buy-in health insurance plan for small business owners, and it was a pool, and it was excellent, and there were a lot of us in it because it was like all these small businesses from all different industries. And then they elected someone who didn't like that, so that went away. And then it was several years of just weird scramble, buy it yourself. And then the marketplace opened with Obamacare, and
Yeah.
we could buy in a different way. But yeah, I mean, and now I live in New Mexico, which is just an extra, they don't participate in the national marketplace. So if you go to the national marketplace to buy your insurance and you put in your zip code, it'll shoot you off to Be Well, New Mexico, because they don't participate. They have their own system, which means none of us pay much for healthcare.
Wow.
Wow.
I
It
mean,
could
our
mean the opposite.
providers, we drive hundreds and hundreds of miles because of how rural it is,
Yeah.
but the insurance is extremely affordable because they're their own system.
Wow. Wow. Well, it's really interesting to hear that. So maybe there's a way for a bunch of little small, maybe the answer is once again, these large organizations can't really make the money that they're used to making, and things will switch to these smaller organizations.
And I don't know if this is still true, but back in the day, organizations, national organizations like the Americans for the Arts, they used to allow, and they may still, as I said, I'm not in that loop, but this off the top of my head, a lot of these used to exist. They had a pool, and artists and
Right. Yeah.
small arts organizations could buy into that pool. Also, there's a New York organization that does still offer that to artists in New York, that they buy into a collective healthcare. I
Oh,
don't
and
know how great it is, but I know it exists.
I just found out that George Mason University, which is just one of the universities around here, if you attend one adult education class, which is something like a couple $1,000s in the last 6 months or something, you can also buy into very low cost health insurance with them as a group. So maybe universities are starting to do that now. So this is giving me hope. Thank you. This is both of those things have been helpful. Cyndi, we're getting close to the end of our conversation, and I feel like we got derailed on taxes, and I cannot tell Julia how economics works, but I'm curious what you would like to share, or what you would like to talk about in terms of any of your work going into the future. What are your hopes? Yeah, what do you
Um,
imagine?
right now, what's on top of mind, I industry agnostic, is just human mindset. I'm thinking a lot about, care and keeping of the humans, but also how to ready folks for the big think different space that we're entering. And I'm super aware that it's a lot to ask people to go think about your future. That's not a thing. So right now, asking people to consider, hey, if everything you have goes away, what are you going to do, is a big ask. So this sort of gradual, loving, supportive people towards a mindset that gives them a lens is where I think we're at. It's just, and it's super real. And, but I don't want anyone to also waste any time on fear.
Hmm.
It's just, I mean, I guess your biggest fear should be around, do you have enough loving, supporting people around you that you really trust? And if not, start building that. That's what to care about more than anything is, at the end, humans do really good things. And we're going to love and support each other. Is it going to get messy and a whole bunch of shit burned down? Yes. But here's the deal. Once the fire dies down, the big pile of ashes will blow away in the wind. And what I'm trying to be is, when that happens and then you look, I'm on the other side of the ashes already, and I've already been building. And so I'm going to invite you over, and we're going to hold hands, and we're going to figure it out together. I don't know the answers. By building, I just mean like, I'm going to get us a platform we can gather on. I don't know what we're going to do over here. I don't know what it means. I don't know what's going to happen, but at least I'm going to give us place because I feel steady.
So what do you think, your family, your dad, obviously we're in the religion business, for lack of, awkward term there. And you mentioned platform. There are these platforms that help people with meaning and purpose. Religion was famously one of them. But all those platforms, or at least almost all the ones I can think of right now, have decayed in recent years. So are new platforms going to emerge? Like, will you survive if you belong to the right book club? That's what came to mind. Or will we not need platforms, or is platforms the wrong way to think about it?
Yeah, and when I said platform, I literally meant like a stage. I was building like wooden, come on over here.
Yeah.
And yes, to your question, I do believe we will survive because we trust our book club tribe. Yes.
Yeah.
That is the answer. Whatever your book club tribe is, for me right now, it's a community of incredible people that most of them I've never met in person, but I love them and trust them. And I will, drive to them or tell them to drive to me if, the waters are rising. But I do think, for real, this isn't about work. It isn't about, what are we going to do to feed ourselves? I mean, who knows? Like, all of it, that's a mystery, but I don't think we should be spending our energy on that right now, because specifically because that's so individualistic. Like, you worrying about you, how will you eat, is not going to help you. It's not. But what will help you is if, whatever you're connected, and make it small. This is the part of what fell apart too with all of the things you're thinking of that you mentioned, is we let it get too big everywhere.
Yes,
The
I agree.
rise of the influencer made us parasocial, thinking that we had these 1,000-person communities. We don't operate that way. We're 150 or less. And if you can't look around right now and go, who's my ride or dies? Who's my bug out people? Who's my, when we all lose our jobs, are we going to move in together and start growing vegetables? I mean, obviously a metaphor, but for real, it's like,
Yeah.
who are those people? That's where the real story is right now. And that's why in all the like trends and data stuff, what you see at the top of everything right now is the word analog. because people are hungry for people
Hmm.
in person.
And
Right.
COVID actually helped that.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I love that.
Thank you.
Cindy,
Well,
That was
fun.
awesome.
It's a
Now,
good
I want to
one.
tell you, when I look at your artwork, what jumps into mind is, for me, is Metropolis.
oh,
The
totally.
Fritz Lang great
Yeah,
song,
Yes.
I'm
epic.
not mad
You've
about that.
Yeah.
you've got a little bit of that going on,
That's fun.
that image hits me.
You
Can
know
you
what's
show us
funny?
some of your, oh, sorry.
Oh, so my art.
Yeah, can you
Um,
show us some of your art?
sure. You know what's funny about that image though? I keep wanting to change it with like the more direction of my actual art, but I just love it so much that I haven't yet, because what that actually is that's an early AI image when I was doing some research on just multiple dimensions. And then when I got all the way out to the 10th dimension, I asked the model to make me an image of what it was telling me. And that's what it gave me, was this 10th dimension. And then I added little chairs in my logo, but that
Yeah.
otherwise image. And so I love it so much because it still has meaning. But here I can, do you want me to show you right now?
By the way, are you
Yeah.
familiar with Hilma af Klint?
Yes.
Um,
Hilma af Klint.
Oh, we had, if you're not familiar, you will fall in love.
this is weird. Oh, I don't know.
She was a Swedish, I think Swedish artist, the first half of the 20th century, who uh, got into non-representational art before a lot of the men
And then
who,
no one's heard of her, but she
yeah.
basically, you look at her and you think she's no relation to Klimt, the
And
one that you know.
and she claimed that her art really was like people from another dimension,
Like a mystical
oh,
portal.
mystical
wow,
portal.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know her. I'll have to look. So this is my Flickr page, which I just dump it all over here just as like a portfolio.
Yeah.
So it's by category. So like this is
Oh,
some
yeah.
Oh,
ink
cool.
ink work. This is a recent one. This is called Everything is Fine.
Wow.
It's really nice. I like it. I
Yeah.
love it, in
And
fact.
then, but everything's sort of different. So that's kind of the ink. I've got some books.
Is your Flickr page open?
Like,
Yeah,
could other people? Okay, good.
absolutely. Yeah. And then these are commercial things. So these are illustrations that were for clients that they bought. I've got a lot of, probably what I have the most of is I do a lot of visual art journaling with collage.
Oh,
And so
okay.
that's this journal. Page one is probably the largest subset
Oh,
of
cool. Oh my God.
just, I mean, the last 2 decades. I started with this in 2000 and I started with Flickr, pardon me. Sorry, those aren't coming up. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
In 2007, putting things on Flickr. So there's years and years of just, I don't know, everything. So yeah, and I hadn't put anything in my portfolio, even though I had made some things, but probably over the last 3 years. And I also think that just everything that happened in 2025 also really brought me back to this world where I just wanted to reconnect in a way that I think as an artist, you know, drawing, creating, making it's like sort of therapy, but also just a way to get it out of your body,
Hmm.
Yes. Right.
because there's
It's
a lot right
processing.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
healing.
So I'll give you this link. You're welcome to visit my
Yeah.
Flickr.
That's awesome.
Can we give other people this link or no?
Of
Is
course,
this?
it's totally public. You bet. Absolutely.
I think it's beautiful, and I sort of want to say, like, wouldn't it be cool if you like I could see you creating a journal for other people to write in, but having little decorations around the edges and stuff. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Um, well, so much more of where I'm headed to is I have a lot of content because I've been just doing a lot for a long time.
Yeah.
And all of that lives on the hard drive because it was 4 things and then I moved on to the next thing. But this era is also me really revisiting. Part of the reason a lot of this stuff isn't out is because historically I would have always had to pay a designer to take it from, because mine it's writing, and even though as I'm an artist, again, I had that input that I shouldn't be merging, because you can see how
Right.
wonky mine are. That didn't look professional, and so I always thought, well, if I'm ever going to put all this stuff out, at each thing I have to hire a designer, which is not realistic at all, because my
And now is just not true.
and it's no longer true.
Yeah.
And it's specifically no longer true because I'm stepping back into, this is my art style, this is who I am, and this is what you're going to see in everything. And that changes the game for me.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I'm so happy for you. You no longer have to say like, oh, it might not be professional because okay, then maybe it's just not for you. My husband does this art that looks very childlike.
I saw it on the window.
Yeah.
It's so
And
awesome.
I love it so much. And people say, oh, did your kid do that? And I'm like, you know, my husband, and it's awesome. But there's this disrespect for anything that's not, I don't know.
Right. It's
Right.
why I said, I am trained. My undergrad was 5 years. My master's was 3 years. I could have been a doctor, but instead I chose how to perfectly draw your skeleton so that I would never have to do it again. And now I get the freedom to do whatever I want, because there are some people who fall in love with that realism space. And then there are people like me who say that is not my expression,
Mm-hmm.
period. And that's great. There's something for everyone. That's why art is so awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, great. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. It was such a treat and a delight to chat with both of you. I appreciate it.
Same. I'm so grateful. This was really great.
Take care. Bye-bye.